All right. On that note, we are back. Welcome to the Wild Times Podcast, episode number 51. 51 weeks of podding it up with two of my best friends, having a good time, drinking a little too much. This has been social hour throughout the pandemic. We started this right as the pandemic was starting. And of the 51 weeks that we've been doing this, I think I've maybe been out twice total with friends. So this is social hour for me now. So if you're listening to this for the first time, welcome. You're 51 weeks late. You are effectively listening to my social hour along with two of my buddies, Patrick DeLuca, aka the broducer. How are you, Pat?
I'm great, man. This is fun. This is exciting. This is cocktail hour. What a great way to kick off the week.
Yeah, cheers to that. And of course, the ever grumpy, the ranty, the aggressive, unnecessarily so, the Brofessor, PhD podcaster, Mr. Ritep. What's up, Ritep?
Cheers, mates. I don't know how I feel about that, but I got this shirt on.
Yeah, baby.
I am feeling good. My spirit animal.
Yeah,
that's right. I've gotten fat, so it's tight, or it shrunk. I don't know. The dog bit a hole in it here because he's a dick. But yeah, happy to be here. Not grumpy, in a great mood. It's Friday. Yeah.
Have you ever noticed how... So when I get grumpy, like very much so. Patrick's seen it a number of times. And the only thing that...
literally make the face that Grumpy Cat makes.
Yeah, I do. It's true.
And then everyone goes, Forrest is grumpy.
The only thing that can make me more grumpy is when someone asks me why I'm grumpy. Like, that's it. Like, if you're grumpy and someone is like, hey, man, lighten up. You're too grumpy. Or why are you so grumpy? It's like, I will rip your fucking head off. Like, do not call me grumpy when I'm grumpy.
Got a case of the Mondays, Forrest?
Yeah. Oh, well, you know what's funny about that is because when we're traveling, it's just guaranteed multiple people are going to get some sort of stomach bug.
Of course.
We're just eating, like bush meat and stuff like that. And when you're really, really sick to the stomach and you're nauseous and you don't want to talk to anyone.
Of course.
Yeah.
Forrest always comes up to you and goes, "Oh, you got a little grumpy tummy?
Grumpy tum-tum. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Like as you're shitting
right
yourself and puking at the same time, and he's like rubbing your back going, "Oh, you got a little grumpy tum-tum?"
Yeah, I can see why Mitch hates you,
It's
Forrest.
because it's like the most irritating thing you could ever do to a friend. So you have to do it.
God. Can't wait to go on adventures with you two.
Yes.
When's that happening? Soon?
Soon enough,
It's
maybe.
got to.
We got some big announcements coming up.
Yeah, good
Oh,
stuff.
God, I hope it's not like when you announce the daily videos without consulting me live on air.
If it is like that.
It's exactly
You son
like
of a
that,
bitch.
Awesome. Well, if you're joining us for the first time, this is the Wild Times Podcast, a podcast where we hang out, talk about wildlife and news and what's going on. And one of the things in our podcast that is so much fun is we have an extremely cultish community of what we like to call brosners. They're bros that listen to the podcast. We have female bros, in case you were wondering.
Broettes.
They're some of the craziest without any doubt. But something came across my beautiful ivory desk this week. Ivory in color, of course, not in material. Kind of fumbled my own joke there. This is from a brosner, and I couldn't believe that he took the time to do this. So I'm trying to pull up which brosner it is right now. But basically...
Way to be prepared.
Sorry,
we go.
Mike
Dead
Irish.
air.
Apologies.
All right.
Mike Irish pulled up. He created a potentially game-changing thing for us here at the Wild Times. Will, would you please pull up the picture of Mike Irish's new Wild Times logo?
Let's hope he can. Let's
see.
hope he can.
Wild Times Willie.
We'll talk in the interim. Is it here?
Wow.
There it is.
So there it is. It's super graphic. I am obviously the monkey. I always thought Patrick was the monkey because I have a spear gun.
You're
now,
the hippo, mate. Mate, you're the hippo.
And you're
what?
the
You're
giraffe?
steering the moped.
I also thought I was the monkey, but I guess Mike Irish thought you were the monkey, and you're holding your fishing spear gun.
Or maybe you are. I don't know. So here's why. If you're listening along on iTunes, we do this live on YouTube. So here's what I'm thinking, guys. What's your knee-jerk reaction to Mike's logo here?
So it's tough for me because my brother made the original logo, hand drew it as a favor. So I have obviously an attachment to the original, but this is super cool. And here's what I'm thinking too. Because we have the merch, I think our best-selling T-shirt is just the Wild Times logo shirt.
Yeah.
If we were to switch logos, that's going to become vintage.
Oof.
Vintage.
You know what I mean?
Skyrocket price.
And they'll have to buy a new one with a new logo. So it's a double whammy.
Ritep, what's your knee-jerk reaction to the new logo, the potential new logo from a bro?
When I saw the logo, it struck me right away, and I was like, oh, I love it. It's super colorful. It's got, and then you look at it and it's got all these elements. There's the hat on the T of the, and there's just the microphone, the podcast. And we've upgraded from a bicycle to a moped.
That's true.
We are getting more wealthy, clearly.
The way
exponentially.
We've made dozens of dollars.
Nearly.
So, and then I was thinking about it, and and the pandemic's kind of toning down a bit, and we're vaccinated, and we're looking at getting together and moving forward and doing this whole thing that we talked about doing at the beginning. And the logo to me kind of would represent like the Wild Times, the next phase,
the next
chapter. And that's kind of just
year
what
two.
struck me.
It's like year 2, right? We're coming up on the beginning of year 2. Anyway, so why don't you vote? Either put it in the comments of the iTunes, or if you're watching on YouTube, in the comments, should we stick with the original logo, or do you like logo version 2? Let us know.
And
we will
Ritep,
literally do what you say.
Ritep's going to throw a side-by-side on Instagram and in the Discord for people to vote. Right, Ritep?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will,
Well,
for
Thank
sure.
you.
Enough
In about
silliness
2
for us.
months.
I got to get to something that is in the world that we dabble in here, zoology.
Very good.
And I thought Ritep would absolutely go fucking bonkers for this. But I do want to get the broologist take on it as well. So Dominic Haynes hit me up on Instagram. He always sends some cool stories. And 59 years ago today, something mysterious in the world of wildlife happened. Okay? So Ritep, you're going to love this.
Okay.
So it was in March in 1962, 2 miles off the coast of Pensacola, Florida.
Okay.
All right. So we're kind of down. Where is that? Is that on the Gulf side, or is that on the Atlantic side?
I think that's in the Panhandle, I think.
Okay, so it's the Gulf side. So 5 boys, they went out to dive a wreck of the USS Massachusetts, which was a Navy ship that had been scuttled, and so they went out to, 5 teenagers went out to do a little dive.
Okay.
The weather got bad, and they kind of got stuck out there 2 miles off the coast. So they were just kind of chilling, waiting for the weather to pass. The weather started to get better, and they started to cruise in. One boy, one of the teenagers, returns back. The other 4 are not back.
Ooh.
They died, sadly. But
So sorry, just to understand, this is cruising back to the boat from the scuba dive.
no, they got back on the boat, and weather was shit, and so
then
they
they're
were worried
heading
they wouldn't be
home.
able.
Got it.
Yeah, weather
Got it.
clears up, they start heading back in. One boy, his name was Edward Brian McCleary, was the only survivor. And he says that on the way back in, their small boat was attacked by a very large sea serpent.
No
which caused
way.
the other four to go overboard.
No way.
What are we thinking?
How old were they again?
Teenagers, like 7. I think, I honestly don't know. But teenagers.
But old enough to be out operating a boat and diving by themselves, so not young children. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They knew how to scuba dive.
Right.
You know, theoretically, they were certified if that existed back then.
Right.
So on the Gulf, yeah.
And the guy stuck to the story his entire life, swears that it happened. It was not that they drowned while scuba diving. You know, could be that. Could be that he was covering up something bad that happened. But let's just say, not crypto, but what could have maybe happened to a very small boat out in that part of the world?
Man. Well, Ritep, you want to go first, and then we can play the biologist card, or what do you think?
Sure. I mean, first thought is the weather was bad, and it's that thing that we've discussed several times on the podcast where people, that's a very, I mean, how traumatic is that incident? I mean, where you psychologically kind of you possibly just create this scenario where it's a much more terrifying and dangerous thing. And really, it was some kind of logical animal that flipped the boat over that you couldn't see because the weather was shitty. And then, I mean, I'd like to hear more about the story. Like, did the thing like eat his friends, or like what? They just knocked him over and they died in the water?
Yeah, knocked them overboard.
Yeah, I mean, it's lame, and this is a lame Forrest-like answer, but yeah, I think it was just a case of mistaken animal identity.
Why is that a lame
So
Forrest?
So let's throw it to the broologist. What animal could this be, Forrest?
Well, so the Gulf is incredible. It's rich in marine resources. It's super diverse. Some of the most sharks I've ever seen are out there, and they get some really shitty weather. I mean, they were diving a wreck for a reason, right? You look at the Gulf, you look at the shape of it, and you're like, oh, that's protected waters. Now, what they don't get a lot of is marine mammals, right? So the first thing you're thinking is, oh, it's a whale, right? It's a long whale. You hit the back, boat gets knocked around, whatever. But they really don't get a lot of marine mammals over there. So that leaves a few options. That leaves sharks. I'm trying to think of something else. Crocodile or alligators.
Well, what was that one that they just found there? The invasive species, that giant ugly
Burmese
fish
python.
that we were.
Oh no, that's a freshwater fish. Arapaima. That's a freshwater fish.
Right.
So we definitely couldn't be that. Now I'll give you a weird hypothesis, and I think that we've never really discussed this, but I think a lot of sea serpents legends come from this animal. Will, could you do me a favor and pull up a picture of an oarfish, OAR fish?
Oh,
They're badass.
Yes.
They're the incredible elongated silver fish that live in the deep sea, I think in the mesopelagic zone or epipelagic zone, which is like the deep open ocean. And they're pretty worldwide. I don't know exactly if they have been documented in the Gulf or not. But what's interesting...
I can tell you they have, because you get them closer to land in Key West.
Oh, well, there you go.
And they're huge.
One washed up in Catalina one time while I was living in California. I remember that. But they're just these... Yeah, there you go. There's one. Incredibly beautiful, crazy-looking fish. And they live in the deep sea. But when they get sick, scientists have documented that they come up to the surface. That's basically like they're like, I'm messed up in the brain, I'm going to swim up. Like, I'm sick, I'm ill, I'm going to go up. So now these things get like 20 feet long.
Bigger.
Perhaps.
A little bit bigger, it even says, yeah.
What does it say? How long do they get?
So it says 8 to 26 feet with unconfirmed reports of 36 to 56 foot specimens and up to 600 pounds.
Yeah. So, that's a 26 foot long thing that looks like that. Now, I've long time believed that this is a sea serpent in many olden day times. And I wouldn't be surprised at all. There's a storm. This animal's sick. It's near the surface. Boat strikes it, totally knocks some guys overboard. You look over, you see this big silver, slithering thing. It's got the crazy red comb going on. And you're like, that's a sea serpent. It's eating my friends, or I kind of turned the boat around or whatever. Guys probably drifted off and died, bummer for them. But I could totally believe, I forget the kid's name, being like, I saw a sea serpent.
Fuck yeah, look at that thing. You see one of those up at the surface, and it's 30 or 40 feet long. It is actually a sea serpent. And there's no definition of sea serpent.
No, totally. There is no definition. Yeah. Exactly. Well, there's a picture of one that was found, I believe, at Catalina, but if you Google Oarfish, California, it'll pop up for sure. And you'll see people holding it. And it's just so that you understand the size of this. There you go, right there.
Holy crap.
Now, if you're in a small boat, like my first boat was a 15-foot whaler, right? A 15-foot little open bow boat. If I hit that thing with my boat, even me as a biologist, even if a 15-year-old who was a nerd on animals and we knew what these things were, would look over and see that, I'd go sea serpent. I'd go sea monster. That is without a doubt your knee-jerk reaction. Now, I'll tell you another tidbit that I have. This is anecdotal experience or anecdotal observation, but when there are big storms on the sea, things get weird. Like, I don't know how else to put it. Like, I've spent a lot of time in the California Channel, coming between the Channel Islands and Santa Barbara. When I was... Actually, Jordan Mayshock told this story on the pod, but when we were coming back one time, super gnarly storm. Our buddy Tommy, he was like laughing, and Jordan and I were basically cuddling because we were so terrified. And he told the story how the boat was going, this way. And what we spotted were two massive great white sharks coming this way. And we were going so slowly, one of the two sharks turned around and started following the boat. Now, I've lived in Santa Barbara a very long time. I've done that channel thousands of times now, probably. The only time I've ever seen a full-grown great white shark was during this crazy storm. And it turned around and actually followed the boat for a while. And, we were like, we're going to lose it. Like, the boat's going to go over. Like, we were terrified. Like, we legit thought the boat was going to go down. And we had a 15-foot white shark behind us. And the only time I've ever seen anything like that was during a big storm.
Yeah.
Maybe it has something to do with them being able to sense that anything floating on the surface, if it's alive,
that's
probably might be in a vulnerable state or something.
Dude,
like
that's
that.
the smartest thing you've said in 51 weeks. That's not actually an insult. That's a great theory.
It's a compliment.
I feel like there's like probably a line in one of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies where I'm sure some crusty pirate says something like, like when the ocean is angry, things come from the bottom.
Dude, that's brilliant
That's
writing.
A good voice.
You could definitely write for Pirates of the Caribbean 36.
So what else? What's your favorite sort of in the news? What's in the news thing that came up this week for us? What do you?
Oh, I had one that trumps all others. So, speaking of sea creatures and weird sea creatures, my favorite dinosaurs are those that come out of the sea, right? And we always seem to discover more and more of them. And this week, a winged eagle shark was discovered. Yeah, and look at this thing. It's just the graphic rendition of what it is it's just the coolest thing ever. It's a sting. It's like a manta ray shark hybrid. It's got these huge wings. Scientists estimate that it used to roam the sea millions of years ago. Using these weird fossilized or they're not fossilized then, using these weird wings that they found in fossils. That they, I don't know. They just look super cool. I don't know what to say about it. It's like if a whale shark had wings and probably ate stuff that wasn't just plankton.
Will, can we get a look at this thing? I gotta see what he's talking about, even though you described it. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Oh, shit. Wait, so how big is this thing? Huge?
Yeah, I think they said in the report, the wingspan was basically 6.5 feet, and the body length was 6 feet. So it wasn't massive, but still, when you compare this to like modern day rays or sharks, it's just extremely different from anything we have. So you might not know this, Retep, but rays and sharks are the same thing. They're both cartilaginous fishes. They evolved from the same evolutionary stem, but yet, look at sharks and look at rays. There are a few like sawfish and things that are like guitar sharks that are kind of like hybrids. But this thing is like a whole different level of hybrid. That face is like something of a whale shark's. The wings are like even more bizarre than any existing ray. The body is like that of a whale shark. I don't know. It's just super cool.
Yeah, it looks, it's got the upper half. Well, the wingspan on it is super. I've never seen any animals that look like it. And I've been looking at a lot of animals lately so I could study up and not look like a schmuck on this podcast. And I've not seen something like this. It looks like it's doing a graceful swan dive as well at all times, and I like that.
Yeah, so that was my favorite thing in the news. It's, a cool dinosaur discovery. Nothing too exciting. What about you, Papa P? Anything come across your desk that you liked?
Yeah, oh, yeah. You want to go ahead, Retep?
Dude, yes, because I'm bringing the comedy relief here, and this is fucking funny. And I think everybody in the world has seen this bear that hops into this jacuzzi.
Okay.
I have not seen it.
Oh my God, Will. Play this video from about 37 seconds in. It's in the show doc. There's a bear, a black bear, and it looks like it's shot for a movie. This thing, just watch this. You guys see this?
All right, so someone's filming, looks like out their back window.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Audio.
Okay, so they've got an above-ground hot tub.
Yep.
Bear comes over the railing.
Fully grown black bear.
Literally just
walks up
doesn't
the
care.
steps.
Chilling.
Walks up the steps. Maybe he's a little.
Maybe I'll have
it's
a drink.
chilly out there.
The beautiful, picturesque mountains. The sun is setting.
Where is this? What part of the country?
Shit. Let me take a. Oh, it's in the Smoky Mountains in Tennessee.
I have to assume the bear gets into the. The bear's going in.
It literally steps into the hot tub like a human toddler.
Hilarious. Oh, and he's sitting down on his butt. Look at that.
The hot tub is hot too, so it's like steaming. It's not like he's taking a dip in a pool here. And he sits in it. He just sits and relaxes like any fucking warm-blooded animal should do.
Fully sitting in the same posture that a human would sit in a hot tub, enjoying the shit out of himself.
That's great.
Or herself.
I love this. That's so cute.
It's so fucking great. He goes out. The guy goes out to get a closer look, so he's no longer got a barrier, no pun intended, between him and the bear.
A barrier.
That's a risky move.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so anyways, I saw this and I was like, is this, so what's up with this? I mean, is he doing this for the same reason that human beings would do this for us?
Absolutely. He's cold and
it
it's
feels
nice
great.
And warm and comfortable, man. Why wouldn't you?
I don't know, because listen, he's got fur. I got long hair. I don't always like to get it wet. It's a pain in the ass.
I was going to say, the thing that this bear doesn't know is the feeling of getting out of a hot tub.
Yeah,
Where you're just like, I'm going to do the bare minimum dry off to run back in the house because it feels like knives hitting my body.
Dude, I mean,
awesome.
And in Tennessee, it looks in the Smoky Mountains. I mean, it's just picturesque, the whole thing. And like to be there and just watch this happen. I mean, I'm assuming I've seen a lot of videos of black bears where they will just like come up to a campsite. They don't give a shit if people are standing around and basically just steal food.
Oh yeah,
and be like, "Fuck you, I'm taking it," and like go stand over there.
Dude, it's like the bully in 6th grade.
Yeah,
like,
but they're like,
if they're
aggressive.
bigger and tougher than you and they want your Cheez-Its, they just are going to take them because why wouldn't they?
Right.
It is. It's pretty funny too. It seems like I would like to hang out with this bear over any other bear. Just a black bear.
I think it's so funny. I love the way he comes and sits in the hot tub. If you're asking me why, I'm not trying to anthropomorphize it, but there's no doubt he's just doing it for enjoyment. He's like, this is warm, it's comfortable, it's nice, it's cold out here, this looks delightful. And good for him. Good for that bear.
Yeah, I mean, they do a lot of the same stuff humans do, right? So it's like, I didn't really realize until I started working in like that line of television that like, if you're in even a really remote place, if there's trails that are designed for humans, the animals are going to take the trails.
Oh yeah,
because they're just easier to walk through. The same reason humans like walking over the trails.
For sure.
They do a lot of the same stuff. All right, so we'll pull this one up. I thought this was really cool. So there's basically a real party town. It's an island, I believe, called Galveston, Texas.
Yeah, I've been to Galveston.
Yeah, it's like people go there to, like, I associate Galveston with just like people drinking a shitload of beer.
It's pretty lowbrow, but it's also a super fun place to hang out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Galveston's in the Gulf too,
Sounds
right?
like my place.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in the Gulf of Mexico, and there's like a booze party going on. This is, I think, in the last few days. And people are just getting crunked on a boat in the Gulf off the coast of Galveston. They come upon a pod of over 100 orcas chilling in the Gulf of Mexico.
That's weird.
Killer whales?
Yeah, buddy. I mean, to me, I associate, obviously stupidly, I tend to just associate orcas with very cold waters, like Pacific Northwest, Alaska. I didn't, Antarctica, right? When we worked on whale wars, I mean, there was orcas all over Antarctica. I didn't realize they hung out in like warmer waters like this.
Oh, straight up into tropical. I've seen them in Mexico a few times in like crystal clear warm water. But to see them in the Gulf is definitely unusual. I mean, maybe it's not. I don't know. But I've certainly never heard of a big pod of orcas cruising through the Gulf. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier with the sea serpent thing. Like the Gulf of Mexico is just crazy. Like there's so much bioabundance there, and like the reason those shrimp fisheries and all those fishing fisheries have taken off there is there's just so much life in that Gulf, and it doesn't surprise me that orcas would want to go there, even though it's probably pretty rare.
So would you assume that this huge pod is, you've talked before about how like there's pods that eat seals and then there's pods that eat fish, right?
Yeah. Yep.
This is probably a pod that eats fish.
Gotta be. Yeah, maybe a stingray. Because a lot of orcas show preference for stingrays, and there are a lot of rays in the Gulf. So it could be a ray eating pod. Could be a fish eating pod. But wow, yeah, they're playing, they're cruising. That water looks beautifully blue. Man, that's awesome. Now, what a cool sighting.
Have you ever seen a pod that big? What's the biggest pod you've seen in person?
Just last year when we were filming up in Alaska, I got into the biggest pod of orca I've ever seen. And when it started, there was like a group of 6 here and like a group of 4 or 5 there. But at the end of the night, around 1:30, it was still light out because it was summer in Alaska, they all came together, and it was probably about 45, 50 of them. And that was mind-blowing. So to see double that is absolutely insane.
And those were eating salmon, right, at the river mouth?
Salmon and herring, yeah, exactly. No, and that was a phenomenal encounter. I'm excited for when that show comes out and people can see it because it was beautiful. I mean, the setting, the place, there was nobody around. It was just us on this tiny little boat and all these orcas free jumping, and it was incredible. But yeah, no, it wasn't 100 of them, that's for sure. And cruising with the boat like that's pretty wild.
That's the one you posted to your Instagram that one time, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I posted some Instagram pics. Yeah, I don't think.
When does that show come out? Is there a date?
It's supposed to be this Shark Week, which is June, July. I don't know.
I never know.
Yeah.
All right.
Forrest,
I should know, but I don't.
Yeah.
Forrest, I got one that I want to talk about. A Brosner sent in a video.
Yeah.
About a story that happened in Zimbabwe. Where you're familiar with Zimbabwe, right?
That's how we pronounce it. Very good.
Where they have zebras and aliens from out of space. Okay. So back in, I think it was 1996.
Oh, yeah. The 96 alien story.
How do you know that that's what I was going to say? Is that the only thing that happened in 1996?
No, it's the only thing you talk about. That's how he knew.
No, I know because as soon as you said something that happened in 96, yes, that is the only notable thing that happened in our country in 96. It is also a world famous story, and I was pretty young, but I loosely remember it. But I actually, one of the reasons I jumped to top of my mind, I recently talked to my mom about this, and she remembers it vividly. Like everybody was talking about this in the country when it happened. But yeah, Retep, introduce it, explain what happened, and then I'll tell you some firsthand experience with it.
From my understanding, there was an alien landing. So not just a sighting. Mm-hmm. A craft actually landed, and 2 3-foot tall beings exited the craft in front of essentially, I can't remember exactly, but 60 to 100 kids and teachers from a school.
Correct.
And they got as close as like 5-6 feet away from these beings, purportedly.
Are you saying beans or beings?
I'm saying beans.
I'm talking about alien beings, bro. Like the kind that make you fart in front of your dog so he runs away.
Okay. Copy that.
No, beings. So and so the whole thing is that they all saw this same thing, and they all reported it exactly in the same way, including the teachers. So it wasn't just the kids; it was the teachers too. And that's the story. That's what I read, and it's some crazy story. What do you know? What do you know?
I mean, you summed it up. It was a school. Yeah, I mean, you really summed it up. I think what was most fascinating about that whole story is it was 60-something kids plus half a dozen teachers that all stopped class. This was during class, left the classrooms, stood around on this field and watched this craft land and 2 creatures with oversized eyes get out and walk away. Now that sounds like something, you'd see on History Channel, not knocking History Channel, but you get my point. It sounds like nonsense, except for like the foreseeable future. All of the kids were drawing what they saw because nobody could believe it, and they all drew the exact same thing. Oh, yeah, look at that. Will's got pictures of the drawings. They literally all drew the same thing. The teachers reported it. The kids reported it. This wasn't like, Jim Bob out doing crack in the woods was like, I saw me some aliens. This was 60-something people that all stood around together and witnessed the exact same thing. And then 60-something people reported this to like the newspaper and the press and the media, and it was covered, but everybody was like, oh, they're crazy. I don't know how you
Right.
get 60-something people to all be crazy or all be in on a lie and never break it. And that's literally exactly what happened.
I saw an interview with one of the teachers, or the main teacher that was there.
Yeah.
And he said that shortly after this happened, he had some people come to his house from the government. And they are, I can't remember who they were, military,
Really?
or whatever. But they basically threatened him and said, what you saw was a blah, 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 like a helicopter.
Well, yeah. Well, welcome to Zimbabwe. He probably went missing 3 weeks later. That's just how our government operates.
That's the common story that Jim Bob from wherever, tells too, is that, the men in black come and threaten you, So it's not like just Zimbabwe, that kind of shit. But it's weird, though.
But in Zimbabwe, on that note, Retep, and if any of our brosners are from my beloved home country, they all will agree with this. A lot of people go missing, and a lot, it's not a democracy. Like, people disappear, people get wiped off the face of the earth. You can be, it's illegal to be gay in Zimbabwe still. You will be stoned to death if you're gay in Zimbabwe, and it's found out. So it's a little bit different there, and things like this do happen. And in Zimbabwe, the government threatens you. It's not like here where you're like, well, I'm going to go to court, and like you'll never get away with it. I'm going to call the police.
Or I'm going to go to the LA Times, and they're going to get
totally,
this out.
yeah, like that. And I'm not saying that you can totally get away with it here, because I'm sure they have controls too. But there, it's like there's nobody you can go to. Like, it's all under one umbrella, and that is just how politics work there.
Yeah. I mean, I think, but the whole point of that is, it's just interesting to me that you mentioned that, Pat, because, as a devout conspiracy theorist for over a decade now, I've read, aliens are my favorite thing. Alien encounters are like my favorite thing to read about, because, they're just insane encounters. Like, and whether or not they're just fictitious stories or whatever, the more real something seems, but it is yet at the same time, like, fantastically ridiculous from our, like, what you consider real in the world, the better, So if you can, but one of those things that's in all of the stories of the people who start to get, like, their story starts to get popular, is they say that somebody came and basically strong-armed them into that shit. So it's interesting that this teacher, even in Zimbabwe, is saying this when, but what do you guys think? I mean, is this a real incident?
Religion is a big thing that keeps people organized and keeps the world from chaos, right? Because almost every religion has a set of rules that essentially says shouldn't kill other people, like don't steal, right? So if something were to happen that basically made people question their religion, which if there was just aliens living on other planets coming to Earth, that, like the Bible, for example, would suddenly be wrong, right? Aliens and life on other planets isn't accounted for in Christianity. And so, it would make a lot of sense to not throw every society in the world potentially into upheaval.
Into chaos.
Right? It would make a lot of sense that there would be a coordinated effort by governments to keep information that could fucking throw society into chaos suppressed. So I don't think it's that far of a stretch to say.
Well, so look, I think anybody that doesn't at least somewhat believe that there's other life in the universe is pretty silly. Like, the universe is so big. We've just recently begun to identify other planets that have structures that can support life as we know it, with regards to distance from, suns and gravity and what creates water, etc. I can't believe that anybody in today's age with a good education should think that we're the only life forms, the only planet with life forms in the galaxy. Now, all that being said, does that mean that there's 3-foot-tall green men black men, as they said in the Zimbabwe story, with oversized eyes coming out of flying saucers? I don't know about that. I think that it's beyond a coincidence that 60-something people would see all of this and stick to their guns forever and never waver on what they saw. I also, and I think I told this story on a podcast once before, Patrick asked me, like, what's your closest to supernatural experience you've ever had? Now, keep in mind, I grew up in Zimbabwe, and it was around this time, I don't know if it was 98 or 92 or whatever, but in that same time period, I think I told this story once before. I was a little kid. I ran out on my mom's balcony, so that my parents had a big bedroom, and then it had like a wraparound balcony on the left-hand side as you entered the door. And I ran out there pretty late at night, like 9:30 at night. It was dark, big, beautiful moon, stars. And to this day, I don't know whether this was real or a dream because I have such a vivid memory of it, or if it's something I saw in a movie and I materialized in my own imagination. But I remember seeing an alien thing, a flying saucer thing. And I'm a scientist, and you guys know me. I'm very practical. Like, I'm not like, oogie boogies and spookies and stuff. But to this day, I do not know whether what I saw was a dream or it actually happened. I don't remember it. I just remember very vividly running out on the deck and sitting down and watching this thing very slowly move through the sky right in front of me, and then running inside to get my mom and sister and dad and everybody and pull them out, and there was nothing out there. Whether that happened or not, I don't know because I was young, but I will never, ever forget what that whole thing looked like. And it totally, same country, same time frame in general that this happened, which is kind of weird.
All right, let me be frank.
No, you're
Pat,
Peter.
Have aliens visited the Earth?
Yeah. 1,000%. If you watch the documentary, I think it's called Black Box UFO Secrets.
I have seen it.
It's a collection of black box recordings from commercial airlines. So this again isn't Dill Jenkins who had a crop duster.
Right.
These are commercial airline pilots with multiple pilots in the cockpit, and every one of the ones that's depicted on this doc is they triangulate where it's American Airlines Flight 1213, Japan Airlines, blah, 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 Russian Airlines.
Right.
And they're all in the same place reporting the same thing.
Yeah.
Numerous times they're saying this thing is the size of an aircraft carrier. It just followed along above us, 1,000 feet above us, and then took off at 10 times our speed. And these are, in almost every single one of them, the official report is, it was a weather balloon. And you have numerous pilots from Japan and Russia and China and the U.S. all saying this thing is the size of a fucking aircraft carrier, and it just went 10,000 miles an hour.
Actual recordings of them saying it, not an interview or anything.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And when you watch that, to then go, it's just you just don't want to believe, and that's okay. If you don't want to believe, that's fine.
Yep, totally.
So, Forrest, are you going to be one of those guys that goes, or do you believe too that they've visited Earth?
No, I'm a guy until there's proof. Like, that's part of being a scientist, right? Now, am I disparaging those that go out to find the proof? No, but this is where like the line starts to get blurry, right? It's like, people sometimes, not sometimes, all the time, I get messages on my social media, go look for Bigfoot, and I'm about Bigfoot, right? Because it's Bigfoot, but really, like, what's the difference between looking for Bigfoot and looking for an animal like, say, fern that only one ever has been recorded 114 years ago, right? Like, the difference with that one is there was a specimen, but still, it's like, it starts to become kind of a gray area between, like, these extinct animals and these cryptid animals and things that were described, but we don't really know what they are. A perfect example is the Kilauea death lizard, which is this giant gecko from New Zealand that, like, it's similar to fern. There's a single specimen of a gargantuan lizard in a museum that turned up like 10 or 15 years ago, I think in London, that basically just has a label that says New Zealand. And they're like, wait a minute, there's this like 4-foot tall gecko from New Zealand, and Maori lore and legend for thousands of years talks about the death lizard, the Kilauea or whatever, I don't know how to pronounce it, this giant gecko, right? This is like, is it a cryptid because it comes from Maori lore and nobody's ever seen it? But then all of a sudden there's this single specimen in a museum in London that says like New Zealand 200 years ago. And it's like, is this a lizard Bigfoot? Is it the real thing? Like nobody, you know what I mean? It becomes such a blurry line with this. And to add to that, not to dogleg us too much, the same thing happened in New Caledonia like 30 years prior, where they're like, oh, there's these giant geckos there, and everyone's like, oh, that's outrageous. And then sure enough, some scientists went there and were like, hey, yeah, here's some giant geckos, like double the size of any other known geckos on the planet. And now they're like, you can buy them at almost any specialty pet shop, right? But 20, 30, 40 years ago, whatever it was, they were a fable. And so it's just like, so my point is, I don't discourage or disparage anybody that's open-minded that wants to look for proof of these things, whether it is Bigfoot or aliens or whatever. It's not my field. There you go. There's the Kilauea, but it's not my field.
Wow.
But
That
this
a
is
massive gecko. Holy shit.
Look at that
It's like
thing.
the size of a small gator.
It is, and
Good Lord.
in Maori lore, anybody that sees one drops dead, basically, or I think it's a sign that death is coming, something along those lines. So the Maori didn't want to see them, and Europeans haven't seen them except for the specimen in museum. So it's such a hybrid between, we know it's a real thing, you're looking at one on this picture, we know it comes from New Zealand, it also has this crazy cryptid history. I don't know. I love this kind of stuff, right? This is where science and cryptozoology meet. What's that?
Let me ask you this as a broologist. Are you familiar with Homo floresiensis?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Fluorescensis, isn't it?
I'm not.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Well, I think this is one of the coolest things ever. So there's an island called Flores Island that is right next to Komodo Island. It's in Indonesia. It's one of the only other places where they have Komodo dragons.
Yep. Bintang Flores. It's where I got this scar right here.
Oh, shit.
Oh, you got that in Flores?
Yep, that's from Flores.
What were you doing?
I was trying to pull a lobster out of a hole. Have I never told this story? I'm sure I've told it to you, Pat. Do we want to tell it right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, how'd you pull a lobster out of a hole and get a giant scar from it?
Oh God.
Wait, is that when you were going doing the caves?
Yeah, let me tell it quick, and then because this is more.
It's a good one.
Let's stay on the tangent that we're on. But when I went to Bintang Flores, one of my biggest bucket list items since I was like 6 years old was to see Komodo dragons. Like, there's nothing I've wanted more since being a little kid, like every little reptile nerd in the world. So I finally got there when I was 22 or 23 years old with Jess. And I shot into, we were on a super shoestring budget. So I was like, I'm going to go diving. I'm going to get us some food and we'll cook it up on the beach, blah, blah, blah. This was long before Bintang Flores and Komodo had all these luxury hotels and shit. And we were staying in like a little homestay hut thing. So I go out diving, dive down, see a lobster in a cave, shoot the lobster with my spear gun. Well, my spear goes flying through the lobster and wedges into the coral. And I'm just in board shorts. So I reach down, try to pull my spear out. It's the only spear I'm traveling around the whole world with, and so I can't afford to lose it. And it's wedged into the rocks. So I start going back and forth trying to get the spear out, and I feel like something itching on my arm. Now, I've got fire coral in the Caribbean a dozen times. It sucks. It burns for 10 minutes. And I'm like, oh, it's fire coral. That sucks. Well, it takes me like 15 dives and half an hour to get the spear free, and finally I do, while I'm rubbing my arm against what I thought was fire coral. Well, it turns out, in Bintang Flores, in this region of Indonesia, there's a highly toxic fire coral, and when you spend 30 minutes rubbing your arm against it, it kills all your skin. So that night I went into cold sweats, fever, like a terrible, woke up the next morning, I'll see if I can send a picture to you guys at some point, and the skin from my elbow crease to my nipple was black and oozing and bubbling and falling off in like dime-sized chunks. And I woke and I didn't know what to do. I puked all night long. I felt terrible, like I had this giant coral burn, and I didn't know what to do. And we found the only doctor on the island at that time who was actually a cattle vet because they run cows there. And I went into a 3-sided building. One of the walls was blown out from a hurricane. Tried to play a game of like Pictionary to explain what had happened. She pulled out a filthy needle, took the biggest dose of cream-colored liquid I've ever seen, told me to roll over and take my pants off, shoved it in my butt, and I felt great. The skin continued to die and fall off, but I felt like $1 million and still got to see my Komodo dragons.
Jeez.
Yuck.
So was it like an opiate?
I have no idea, man. To this day, I have zero clue what she shoved in me, but I made me feel good.
A little poppy seed tea going into your buttocks.
But anyway, that was a big dog leg, but that's how I got that
it's
scar.
cool. But the quick version of this, because I'm like wondering if I've said this before on the podcast, but in Flores Island, they had, it's a lot of like villages of the indigenous people that live there. And it's not like, this is not like a built up place with cities. And so for years and years and years, people that had visited Flores Island, when they talked to the villagers, they talked about these little hobbits that lived in the woods. And they would come and steal babies and steal livestock. But, it just sounds like this sort of mythical silliness that these hobbit-type creatures with huge feet.
Well, they're only supposed to be like 3 feet tall, right?
Yeah, they're
Yep.
short and they have these huge feet, and they would come and they would steal babies in the night, right? And this is just thought of to be sort of a story or whatever. Then in 2003, they're doing this archaeological dig in a cave called Liang Bua on the island, in Flores Island, and they find a cemetery of a species of hominid that is now called Homo floresensis or whatever, or Flores Island man, that is another species of human, essentially, that's 3 feet tall. They have massive feet.
Matches all descriptions.
And they excavate over 60 of these skeletons of this completely separate creature that's completely human in every other way. They have the same skull, same skull structure. They're just tiny humans with giant feet. It's known as Flores Island man. That's actually the archaeological dig there in the cave. So it's just crazy to think that, this was, and not to say that they were coming in and snatching babies. Also, the youngest of these skeletons, I think, was 50,000 years old.
Right.
Wow.
So we don't have proof that they're still alive. This could have been a story that passed down while the Homo sapiens and Flores Island
50,000
man.
years, though? That is a long time for a story.
That's a long time for an oral tradition, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So I think that's super cool. To me, that's like, shit, let's go look for some hobbits.
Totally.
Let's go find some, dude.
So on that note, one of
Culturally insensitive to call them hobbits, mate. Come on now.
It's not.
I'm kidding. They don't even exist.
They
What?
do exist or did exist.
They did.
No, and
Yeah.
this is,
They did exist.
It's just like the death lizard. It's just like a bunch of these things where it's like it's all lore and oogie boogie, and you're so stupid for believing it until it isn't. And then it's
100%.
like you're such a jackass. It's one of the things, like, Patrick, you and I often talk about the problems with my field of like wildlife sciences and just sciences in general, which is the whole, like, if you didn't think of it or if you didn't prove it, you're an asshole, right? And this totally falls into that. Like, everybody talked about, the Flores man as being like a cryptid, a Bigfoot, a silly little hobbit tradition. And then it's like, oh, here's a cave full of them, So it's just
Right.
Yeah. So this podcast is getting all over the place. Have you heard of?
No, we're on cryptids and aliens right
It's all
now.
science adjacent. That's what,
Very
that's what I
succinct.
want to talk about.
So have you heard of Orang Pendek? Have either of you guys heard of this one?
Nope.
So, okay. So just like the Flores man, there is another Indonesian folklore called the Orang Pendek. And it's basically, this one comes from the island of Sumatra. Now, I've been to Sumatra. It is as wild as it comes. Like, there is few places on Earth left as wild and as diverse. Remember when we had BTG on the phone? We were talking about the Wallace Line. This is right on the Wallace Line. Super diverse, crazy place. Will, if you can, and maybe we're going to get shut down. I know we're doing a lot of videos this time. Find the video where the guys are riding their motorcycle and they see the Orang Pendek. So imagine a tiny little, like, basically orangutan-like man, 3 foot tall, hairy, that lives in the jungles. Now, again, Sumatra, super wild, super rugged, super remote. Couple guys are riding their dirt bikes down one of these jungle roads, and hopefully we can get the video here. And this little humanoid creature jumps out in front of the dirt bike and runs like fast as hell for like 100 feet before it jumps back in the bushes, carrying what looks like a spear. And it's like,
No.
What?
I swear, you got to see the video. It's mind blowing. I'm hoping Will can find it here.
And then, yeah.
Go ahead.
So, and then,
What do you think? What do you think it was?
I don't
think
know.
It was
Right.
an orang pendek.
Well, that's the thing, man. And you if you say that out loud, you're a tinfoil hat crazy guy. But it's not an orangutan. It's not another known species of primate carrying a wooden spear. Like, it's just not. That's not how they run. So I don't know
he's
what it
pulling
is.
it up.
I don't think we can. The only thing you can chalk it up to is either fake or something we don't know about yet. Nothing else.
Right.
All right.
so
Well,
Will's
if
pulled up
you're
a
listening on
video here.
iTunes, we're about to review the Orang Pendek video for the first time right here. Live.
All right.
on
So this is clearly a guy filming
So-
on a phone.
I think
He's
see it.
cruising. Oh,
See it
maybe-
there?
go-
Look there.
Oh yeah.
Gone.
Oh whoa. Can you wind it back, Will? That guy, the guy's cruising on a moped of some sort.
Yeah, I don't think he's got a phone. I think he's got a helmet cam on his GoPro.
I think you're right.
oh, yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? GoPro on his helmet cam. But yeah, you'll just see it. It's a flash, but And could it be a village kid that's like doing something naughty? Sure, but it sure doesn't see the spear.
Oh, there we go.
Look at that.
Nice pause, Will. Perfect.
The first guy actually wrecked his bike because he almost hit he might have hit it. I don't remember the story anymore. But if you back up, Will, real quick, and play it again, I don't know. This video has always surprised me. You'll see he comes around the corner and look up from the crashed motorcycle. So go ahead and play it in real time, Will. So there's the guy. He's carrying a little spear.
Yeah.
The guys are like, oh, what happened? You crashed? And then the guy shoots out after this thing to figure out what's going on. I don't know. You see the spear in his hand there? Like hanging out the back? It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's just wild. And again, this is one of those things that just like the Flores man, if you described it, you're a psycho, you're a lunatic, you're a nut job, but what is this?
Right.
You know? Like, that's pretty weird. Oh, there you go.
People on the island have been talking about this thing for 100 years as far as written history. And we have seen firsthand in really, really remote places, you go there and there's a scientist there that we're going to meet that's been there for 10 years. And they're like, no one else has come here in the 10 years I've been here to study this.
Exactly.
Because just like animals taking human pathways, scientists don't love going to places that are really hard to get to.
Nope.
To spend 10 years studying a new type of, a new species of something. That's a lot of work.
Correct. And not to mention...
Oh, he's clearly got a spear, by the way. Yeah, clearly you can see the spear there.
God bless YouTube for quarter speed play, slow-mo.
And not to mention, like, if you're, like, there's that place where the guy went to try and... that uncontacted tribe where the missionary went and he got iced, and we know there's uncontacted tribes in the Amazon. We've seen them from the air. Like, if you're one of these tribes, you don't want to interact with big, scary people on their big noise machines, right? Like, and you can imagine whether this is like some crazy person or an orang pendek or just, a village kid that isn't used to human beings. You don't want to interact with what's going on. There's this crazy loud thing, this motorcycle, and these people zooming at you. It's got to be terrifying if you don't know what
that grass.
Yeah.
How tall is that grass there, you think, right there?
Tall. It's like 6 foot grass, I'm sure.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I was just trying to get a reference for how tall the little guy was, you think.
We should have, we talked about it on the BTG podcast, but Johnny Inches, for his Travel Channel International show that he's done for years, he has an amazing story where they went to some village, I think it was in Indo, and there was this little village, and there was this, this witch that lived in the woods that would come into the village at night and stuff like that. And they went and they spent a couple weeks looking around, and they literally found an old schizophrenic woman who was living in the jungle. And they found like cans of like canned goods, like, I don't know, whatever, that were like 25, 30 years old that she had like in her little domicile hut that she had built. Right. And she was just this like exiled schizophrenic woman. And they're like, wow, you literally have a witch that lives in the woods.
Yeah.
We found her.
Real. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a much cooler story. Maybe we'll have him on sometime.
Did you guys ever hear about the Japanese World War II survivor from Guam?
No.
This story blows my mind. So during World War II, there was, so Guam was one of those territories where the U.S. and Japan would fight over it constantly, right? Japan would fly over it, the U.S. would fly over it, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, this guy was in a dogfight, right? This Japanese soldier, and his plane went down in the high mountains of Guam. Guam's a very mountainous island. It's a super cool place. And his plane went down, and he survived the crash. And after surviving the crash, he ran into a cave high up in the mountains in Guam. This was in World War II. Well, sure enough, as soon as World War II, well, not even as soon as, before World War II ended, the U.S. made it like a major aerial hub, right? And then it became, I think, a hub for Continental or United. So literally, planes have been flying in and out of Guam relentlessly since World War II. Well, this guy who moved into a cave in the mountains of Guam thought that the war had continued for 30 years before he left the cave because he was like, the war's going on. So he just lived in isolation up in the mountains in Guam in this cave, is the story I've been told, and I should probably fact check it. for 30-something years or 25-something years, I don't remember exactly, before some hikers basically found him, and he was this ancient Japanese man living in a cave in isolation in the mountains of Guam.
It's crazy.
Dude.
Imagine that.
Yeah, I mean,
Imagine being like, yep, the war's still going. I can't imagine what it's like out there. I'm just going to wait it out in this cave for 30 or so years.
He was probably thrilled.
liked it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I was going to say.
You don't do something for 30 years unless you're like kind of into it.
Yeah,
like, think about how
it's like, man, I don't have to deal with any of that noise going on there. Like,
I don't have to talk to any fucking people, be barked orders at. Fucking just.
Yeah, as long as he found a way to like ferment some sort of jungle fruit so that he could have some booze on a Friday night, and he was good.
I'm sure.
Probably made some animal friends out there.
All right, so I have an idea for a new game.
Okay. I'm up for it.
I love your new games.
I was waiting
I'm
for
stoked
Forrest to go, ooh, a game.
A game.
So there you go. Thanks. All right. So people love the science. They love the nature. They love the wildlife. They love the cryptids. But they also love when we occasionally get into the banal trappings of human life.
True.
And talk about food. People loved fruit brew.
Cereals, death row meals.
Nobody
Yeah,
sent
so
me a
I've-
box yet. I stand by my statement from that podcast. The first broster to send me a box of fruit brute gets to go on an expedition. So, just saying.
If someone sends you a box of fruit brew and not me, I'll kill myself on the air. So,
Oh my God.
Even more incentive.
Christ.
yeah, exactly. All right. So I think this is a fun one. It's very polarizing. It's very topical. It's not a snake draft. It's not a battle royale. That's still to come.
Okay.
What you're going to do is each of us are going to list your top 3 ice cream flavors. You don't have to get into a big thing on each one.
Mm-hmm.
We can interject.
Yep.
Top 3 ice cream flavors, and then the one that is dead fucking last, like the worst ice cream, the one that's like embarrassing shit.
Yep.
Okay?
Got it.
So,
Yeah,
because
this is
people,
great.
ice cream is very polarizing. I'm happy to go first here since it was my
Do it.
idea.
No, I don't think so. I'll be going first.
Okay, all right, go ahead. Go ahead.
Richap's like, guys, this is my domain. We're talking food. Like, time for me to step in and
true.
take charge.
Yeah.
Patrick's been thinking about this for a week. That's the only reason I don't want him going first. He's already got his selections picked days ago.
Okay. All right.
But that said, I'm not going to be taking anything crazy off the table because legitimately,
Well, and
my
also we
favorite
can
ice cream-
we can overlap just your honest lists.
Yeah, it's just what you like. Yeah.
Are we doing? So are we doing a snake draft?
I already
still?
Say what you. He's gonna lose it.
Go ahead.
He's gonna lose it.
What did you say?
No snake draft.
I already
wasn't-
said no snake draft. You son of a bitch.
Oh, I thought you said snake draft. I missed that one tiny
Hurry
word
up.
that's
This
only
is
2
taking too
letters
long
when you
already.
mumbled it out of your fucking asshole. All right.
Good God.
So my first pick is just straight up vanilla, dude. Vanilla is fucking delicious, and I don't know why it gets such a bad rap. It's delicious. I love how they name things vanilla. Like, that's so vanilla. No, vanilla's delicious. What are you saying? It's a delicious, tasty treat?
Okay, so
Or are
is
you trying
that
to
your
say
number 1?
It's in my 3 that I'm picking.
Okay.
Wait, are we doing these ranked? Why don't you explain
Forrest and I
better?
will rank ours because we know how to do a podcast after 51 weeks. But anyway, vanilla. What else do you have?
So my first pick is vanilla, and then my second pick is legitimately strawberry. I'm a very simple man.
Just take a Neapolitan and call it a day, dummy.
Yeah, seriously. Let me guess. Chocolate for your number 3.
No, I'm not talking fucking Briars, dude. I'm talking Tillamook, fucking strawberry, chunks of strawberry in the ice cream, not just strawberry flavoring. It needs to have the actual fruit in it.
Copy that.
Delicious.
Okay, what's 3?
And out of those 2, I'm going to say that strawberry is number 1 and the vanilla is number 2. And my final pick, is a delicious fucking classic. Keep in mind, I'm from Chicago, the Midwest. I'm a simple man.
Go ahead.
My third and final pick is chocolate chip cookie dough. That's right.
That's nice.
And by the way, if you want to turn that into a Neapolitan and send it to Pat, melted and shitty, I'd be happy to.
Okay,
pay
and
for
then
the
what's
shipping
your
charges.
dead fucking last? What's
Don't
your
eat.
Oh my
Disgusting.
God! Here is my dead last, and I will fist fight anybody to the death when they inevitably want to argue about this.
Yep.
fucking mint chocolate chip.
Yes.
Eat a dick.
Yes,
Yeah.
I am
It's
with you,
disgusting.
Recep.
Why
It's
do I
so
want
gross.
fucking toothpaste flavored ice cream?
Did all three of us have that as our dead fucking last? Because I
did
do
for
too.
sure. No, 100%. It tastes
terrible.
like
It's
toothpaste.
so popular
gross.
too.
And
I thought
everybody
everybody likes
likes it.
smashed for that. It's
Oh
garbage.
my god.
Who eats it?
It's terrible.
trash.
It's fucking mouthwash.
It's exactly.
really-
It's frozen toothpaste. Don't call that dessert. It's disgusting.
No, and yet
If it
I
didn't
think
have-
it might be
yeah.
the most popular. It's crazy how many
It's so popular,
Mint chip.
dude.
I gotta have mint chip. Shut up.
Yeah, get out.
Garbage. So that's also my dead last. Retep, we overlapped on 2. So dead last for me is mint chocolate chip. Number 3, I'm going very plain, but I'll explain it. Just chocolate. A good chocolate
Solid.
ice cream, and here's what you do. You put caramel on it. Because people always put caramel
Yes.
on vanilla ice cream. Caramel and chocolate is mind-blowing. Number 2 for me, we also overlap chocolate chip, cookie dough ice cream. It's
so good.
unbelievable. The texture of the ice cream with the little balls of, I think they're made of racquetball material, are so good.
Texturally, yes.
It's fun on the teeth. Number 1, and it's not
On the
even
teeth.
close.
Need a shirt.
And anyone who says, "Oh, that's what my grandma eats," you dumb.
Don't
you
say
gotta
rum
try
raisin.
it.
Don't say rum.
Rum raisin.
Are you out of your fucking mind?
A rum
First
raisin
of all,
is
nobody under the age of 85 has ever tasted
eaten
rum
rum
raisin, except for you.
Dude, that combination, you get that spice from the rum, you get the butteriness of whatever the mystery ingredient is, and the raisin. Rum raisin. I was made fun of it wildly on Santa Cruz Island by Forrest and our entire crew for getting rum raisin at the ice cream shop. It is amazing. And then dead last, mint chocolate chip.
Yeah.
Forrest,
I
what do you got?
speculate if I have ever tasted rum raisin, that would be my my least favorite, my worst pick.
Forrest.
Replace my mint chocolate.
Go ahead, Forrest. Pick bubblegum as your top favorite.
No, God, no. That was a huge mistake. I also was made fun of for ordering that.
I ordered rum raisin in Galapagos. Forrest got a scoop of bubblegum.
Didn't eat it. Couldn't eat it.
Couldn't
Tried.
be more fucking opposite.
Yeah. No, okay. Yeah, so I'm going to go third, second, first. Hands down, I don't know if you guys have had this before. My number 3 is the brownie core ice cream that they're selling at the moment. Have you had? It's got like the goopy
old Ben and
chocolate
Jerry's.
Ben and Jerry's brownie core. Like, I'm not even that big into brownies, but whatever that chocolate lava goop that doesn't freeze in the middle of that ice cream is, in the middle of chocolate ice cream, it's a treat.
If you get the core, it's a brand. It's like Ben and Jerry's core,
Yeah,
and it's just got a
exactly.
molten center of caramel or brownie.
That doesn't
They're
freeze.
very good at making ice cream. Good
Yes.
God.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Ben and Jerry, dude.
So that's a new find on my end that I'm pretty obsessed with. So number 2, which was a tough one for me. A lot of overlap. It sounds like we're a couple of vanilla guys, all three of us. But cookie dough, chocolate chip cookie dough. I love it. I mean, you've got the vanilla ice cream, which I do love, but then you get these fantastic bites of cookie dough. By the way, I would throw out all 3 of these flavors and just eat a tube of cookie dough over any of this because I love cookie dough. Yeah.
Dude, my girlfriend came home from Costco with like 3 gallon. I don't know how big it was. It was a giant gallon bucket thing of cookie dough, and I was like,
seen those.
What is this?
Yeah, I've seen them
And
too.
like,
Yeah.
it's very dangerous because you
guys
just
polish
fucking
it
pull
off?
it out. No, of course not. But I would love to. You think that you could, but you can only eat so much before you want to kill yourself. Honestly,
How many raw eggs are you consuming in that?
you can have like 4 bites in one sitting. That's it. All right.
Yes,
You
so
need the
love
ice
me some
cream with
chocolate chip cookie dough. It's so good. Love cookie dough in general. Number 1, pretty weird one. If we got any brosners from down under, I had this. I've been to New Zealand twice, and it's the first thing I do when I get off the plane, even if it's 7:30 in the morning. It is get hokey pokey ice cream. It is like
I've heard of it.
it's so good. You know the inside of those like Honey Crisp candies. It's
How
like
did
that, like,
Will already pull up a
honeycomb?
picture
Yeah,
of
they're
Pokey
disgusting.
Pokey? What a weirdo.
He knew going in. It's like honeycomb. I don't even know what it is. It's
Bit of
so-
honey is the
honeycomb?
most
I
disgusting
think so. I
candy
think
in
it's
the
like
world, by the
honeycomb
way.
ice cream. It's so good. Hokey pokey ice cream. That's my number 1, hands down. And we've
Forrest, I'm upset with your description of claiming it tastes like bit of honey because bit of honey is disgusting.
I don't know what
Please
bit
tell
of
me it
honey. I
doesn't
don't know
really
what
taste
bit
like
of
that.
honey is. I said
That's what you
honeycomb.
just said. That little honey candy.
The honeycomb, like crunchy candy stuff surrounded by
Yeah,
chocolate.
bit of honey.
I've
It's
never heard of
disgusting,
that.
and so are you.
It's not.
I like
You're
this ice
stupid.
cream though.
Hokey Pokey ice cream. Oh my god.
So good.
Is this available in the U.S.?
We should find out because I will order some tonight off Amazon.
All of our Australian
So
roasters are going to ship
it's described
you
as this.
gallons of ice
Hokey,
cream.
this is according to its Wikipedia. Hokey Pokey is a flavor of ice cream in New Zealand consisting of plain vanilla ice cream with small solid lumps of honeycomb toffee.
Oh yeah,
That sounds
that's good.
nice.
So good.
Forrest, for those not watching, Forrest is currently smiling like a donut.
And then, dead last, zero question. If you argue with this, probably just unsubscribe from this channel straight away. Mint chocolate chip,
Which is going to be
disgusting.
half of people.
Yeah.
I love how the only call to action that Forrest gets is calling people stupid and telling them to
Telling them to
unsubscribe.
Please
It's a
don't.
different
Please don't do
approach.
that.
It's not the number one marketing approach out there. It's a unique.
I like it.
unique.
I like everybody's picks actually for once in life. It wasn't like, remember when you picked Gushers as your Easter basket candy? It's
was
not
almost a
even
year
a
ago.
candy. It's a lunch item.
So good. A lunch item. In the Midwest, they call it fruit.
You've had some real, we should do a daily with just Forrest's bad picks that he's made.
Just cut it together.
Exist.
Well, let us know, by the way, in the comments what you think is the best and the absolute worst gutter trash ice cream. I have a feeling a lot of people love mint chip, man. It's
Yeah,
very
we probably
popular.
upset
Oh yeah,
so many
we're gonna
people.
we're gonna get crushed in the comments, guaranteed. But there's gonna be a lot of people who fervently agree with us as well. So I'm excited to see it.
Good.
Fervently is the word. English.
Bitch, I'm from the Midwest. I'm a simple man. I just said it. Fuck off with your grammar and your language.
Hey,
Pig.
angry people.
Big trash.
I think it's time.
No.
Battle Royale.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's favorite time. What do you got for us? You said you got one.
Yep. I was thinking of it as we were doing this podcast. This podcast took a weird turn. We went, we were going down science. We took a left on Cryptid. We rounded it out by going back to topical and then talking ice cream. So it's been a hell of a drive. But I'm thinking tonight, given the spirit of the podcast, we are each going to go snake draft for Tep. I'll explain how that works. We are going to create
do.
our own cryptid, right? What creature, pulling from nature, what head does it have? What body does it have? What special powers does it have? However you want to structure it. No holds bar. You can do anything you like with it. Create the perfect cryptid monster that would be rumored in folklore and legend, but stay hidden from humanity due to its abilities.
I like it. So any three sort of qualities from the animal kingdom.
Anything at all.
Three.
Anything you like. It can live in the water. It can fly. It can. I don't care what it is. It can be anything.
is that noise?
Go nuts with it.
I like it. Who's going first?
Oh my God. I was Googling while you were talking and a video started playing and it was playing like dramatic music as you were explaining it. I was like, is Will playing sound effects? What the fuck is going on?
That's funny. All right. On that note, Retep, why don't you go first? This is a snake draft, meaning you get one pick to start us off.
All right. And so our animals, these have to be abilities that actual animals in the natural world have. We can't go buck wild, right?
Yeah, it's grounded in reality, but we're creating the perfect cryptid that'll stay hidden from humanity.
Okay. Well, if we're talking about things hiding, I'm going to pick one of my favorite cephalopods other than my favorite cephalopod, the cuttlefish.
Ooh,
because
smart.
the cuttlefish fucking literally spends its entire life basically defending against being found. It can turn into, it can encase itself in shells and armor and blend in with the background, essentially looking invisible. Dude, imagine you're coming up to my animal and it just cloaks itself with the background. I win already. We can end the podcast.
I had the same pick. It's very good. So just to be clear, your pick though, because you didn't clarify.
The cuttlefish.
Yes, I get it's a cuttlefish, but it is.
But does it have the
cuttlefish.
body
Shut
of a
up,
cuttlefish
Forrest. It's
or the
the cuttlefish.
powers of a cuttlefish?
Yeah, what does it have? What does it look like?
It has the powers of a cuttlefish,
Okay.
meaning it can
Thank
be
you.
invisible, it can cloak itself,
That's
it
it.
can turn itself into a rock-looking shell
Got it.
And
form.
And Patrick, you go next. The camouflage ability of a cuttlefish. That's good.
okay, so the next I'm going to take this, and I'm going to take this off the table so that no one else can fuck with this. I'm going to take amphibiousness.
Nice.
I'm going to take the fact that this animal can live in water or on the land. It's amphibious in nature, which is going to make it mysterious because there will be sightings of it in the water, and there will be sightings of it on land, which is going to make it all the more cryptic.
And people are going to be like,
people
it's
are
not
gonna-
Real. Totally.
Exactly.
You say it's in the water. You say it's on land. I like that.
Exactly.
A lot.
So I'm going to take that it's an amphibian.
Okay.
Forrest, you're up
Amphibian.
for 2.
Yep, that's good. I like that a lot. Okay. I thought of this on the spot. I didn't, however, come up with any thoughts as I did it. So this is completely on the fly. But I think my first pick. So I'm going to go for a flying creature. I have a bit of a thing with dragons. And yeah, I've talked about this before. They're across all cultures, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to go with a large winged creature. But the thing that I'm picking to tie it into nature is the bones of a bird. So for those that don't know this, bird bones are hollow, which means they very, very rarely fossilize. So if a bird dies, basically the
Smart.
bones kind of disintegrate and disappear. So no matter what, this population of this creature, when they die, as long as a couple scavengers get to them, there's no fossil evidence, there's no remaining bones, they just kind of shred and disappear. So I'm going to start with the bones.
Good pick, very sciencey.
Yeah, very sciencey. Bones of a bird, bones of a bird. But this animal, you know, because the culture we live in is so obsessed with Bigfoot and the fact that it's not real, I want to make my bird bone creature bipedal. So it's bird boned, but I'm going to basically turn these bird bones into an orangutan. You know, imagine this big, long-armed, hairy orangutan that has these super light bird bones. So we've got, you know, basically going towards like a Bigfoot thing, but there will be a twist when it comes back to me.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, I like that. I'm going to go for my second pick. It's an amphibian, lives in the water and on the land, and it also has the intelligent chromatophores of a chameleon.
Very nice. Very nice.
So this thing can change color very quickly. It doesn't have to think about it. Its skin has its own neurons or something. I don't know exactly how they work, Forrest does. But it can change color and texture like a chameleon. Wait, they can't change texture, can they?
A little bit, actually. There's
Well, I already
kind of-
picked that superpower, so you can't have that.
No, you went cuttlefish.
No,
That's it.
you went cuttlefish, boy.
No, they can't change texture. That's bullshit. Stop kissing his ass, Forrest. You're not on.
No,
Very
it's
angry
a
tonight.
cuddle. Yeah, you picked cuttlefish.
angry. I've been
I'm
very
picking
amicable.
chameleon. I'm smarter
Chameleons
than
don't
you.
change texture. No.
Okay, well, color, and yes, that's mine.
you'll
So it's
have
an
a
amphibian that can change color to match its background. Very hard to find. Very hard to find. Now you're up for 2, Peter.
Okay. My first pick is an animal that, yes, my friends, is immortal. It is a jellyfish that, when it is physically attacked, it can revert to its polyp stage and then regenerate all of its cells. And scientists believe because it can do that, it is virtually immortal and never dies. It's called the Turritopus dorni, or whatever. And it
he
is
definitely knew
my
this one.
superpower. Yeah, of course I Googled it. You guys you're stealing my cuttlefish abilities, Pat. You guys are glad handing over there. And so I will have an immortal cuttlefish that can hide itself and become invisible and change texture. And then finally, because in the same list that I looked up, there is an animal that basically sprays gas, a cloud of hydrogen cyanide. The dragon millipede will be my final feature of my animal.
But what does it look like, Peter? You haven't given us, like, what does this thing look like?
it has
You've
no
just kind
body.
of
It looks
said-
like the millipede, obviously,
Okay, obviously. All right, so
and sprays gas.
you've got a millipede that sprays gas that has The immortality of a jellyfish, but the camouflage of a cuttlefish.
Correct.
This
Good
is-
luck.
this is
Good
like-
luck fighting that.
I could find one of these under a log in my backyard tomorrow. This is not a good cryptid.
Good
Mitch,
luck.
are you out of your fucking mind?
Yes.
Are you kidding me? This is the best creation that has ever been created on this podcast in 51 motherfucking weeks.
Okay. All right. Pat, what else you got?
Cool. All right. So here's where mine gets to be the most famous cryptid in the history of the world, because we already know that it can live in the water, but also the land.
Right.
When this is in the water in the swamp, it's going to be weird. But when you see this thing on land, just before it changes color to match the background, you're going to be like, what did I just see on land? It has the body and the head and the whole thing of a sperm whale.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's out there.
So you're trekking through the jungle. You're in the Louisiana swamp. You got your binoculars. You're on a bird watching tour, and you are just thinking, I'm going to see a pretty cool pileated woodpecker.
Right.
And the next thing you know, you see a 50-foot long sperm whale hanging out just in the woods, and then all of a sudden, it turns the same color as its background.
Do you know how long it takes for a chameleon to change color? Do you know how long it would take for that size of an animal to change color with a chameleon's ability? It would take years, mate. Terrible pick.
Right, because it goes one cell at a time. Dope.
It's not like it blends in with the sky or the air or its background. It has to be touching
it's not
whatever
flying.
it turns the color of.
It's not flying.
Well, your thing will be discovered and killed immediately by anyone who finds it,
All right.
which many millions will.
So my creature is neither a millipede nor a sperm whale. This is an orangutan type creature, the body of an orangutan with hollow bird bones. But the kicker here, something that if you Google it, and I think Will to help us out, if you Google this animal in real life, you don't even believe it's real. It's going to have the head and, wait for it, burrowing abilities of the star-nosed mole. So you're going to have this big orange primate-like creature with hollow bones that's going to have this crazy like alien face and head that just pops out of the ground, looks around, and then just dives back into the ground and disappears again. That thing on an orangutan body with bones that disintegrate when they die underground. That is my cryptid. What a mess.
Okay. I mean, it's definitely, it's funny because I actually was thinking about that, which is crazy because why the fuck would I ever think of something you thought of just because it looks so goddamn ridiculous? What does this thing do, Forrest? I mean, look at its fucking head. I want to know more about it just quickly. Why is its head like that?
Yeah, why does the star-nosed mole have a star nose?
It uses those tendrils to feel for earthworms in its completely pitch black environment. So it's a special organ that's like a feeler, and obviously it has these massive oversized claws for burrowing and tunneling, and then it uses its little feelers to basically sniff out and feel out earthworms that it munches on.
So Forrest, you usually do the rundown. Do you mind if I do it this time?
Please.
Okay.
I love it.
Be prepared to be interrupted, you smug prick.
Please vote in the comments, whether you're on iTunes, YouTube, whatever you're listening on. Let us know who won this one. It's a two-way race, I would say. So,
between me and myself.
Do you want a sperm whale body that can live on land or in the water?
It's literally just a sperm whale.
It also has intelligent chromatophores, so it can blend in with its background. Do you want
over much time, over years?
A creature that's not true. That's not how it works. Do you want a creature that looks like an orangutan but can quickly get away by burrowing into the earth with the burrowing abilities of a star-nosed mole?
Well, please, when he gets into mine, please pull up what my millipede looks like so this idiot understands
with the burrowing
why
abilities
I picked it.
of a star-nosed mole, but also has hollow bones of a bird so that it cannot be, no remains will ever be recovered.
That's right.
Or would you like something that looks like a millipede that can shoot gas out of its butt?
No, it's not a millipede. It looks like a dragon millipede. It doesn't look like a regular millipede.
It looks like a dragon millipede.
Also, it's giant. It's as big as your sperm whale.
You can't. That's a fourth thing.
Your sperm whale's ridiculous. You picked a sperm whale that does nothing other than be large.
It's the fact that it's on land.
There's my dragon millipede. Looks nothing like what you're trying to paint a picture of.
Or would you like Peter's insect that can change colors?
Never going to be found. Going to be discussed.
It's also never
when
going to be a
if it
cryptid.
sprays
'Cause people are just gonna be
poison.
like, that's a bug.
When it sprays poison into your asshole, you idiot.
They spray it out of their own asshole, not into yours. So,
Well, I'm going to train all of them worldwide
good
to
rundown.
come to your house and spray poison gas into your ass. Liam Tobin is our editor, everybody. He's amazing. He's been editing our podcasts and daily videos for the past several months now at this point.
Yeah.
And about time we give him a shout because he's behind the scenes. Of course, producer Will is back there. You see our ugly faces every week, so you know who we are. If you want to watch the podcast, go to the wildtimespodcast.com/info to find the YouTube link. And all the other links are there too. The Spotify, the iTunes, the merch link. Oh yeah, that's right. We're wearing them today. My spirit animal looks identical to me. Forrest has the tank top on. Pat was told many days ago to wear the merch and reminded today. Still chose. Pat, let's see what shirt you have on. Stand up, mate.
no, I'm not standing up. It's just a shirt. Mine's in the laundry because I
Now
wear
take
it
it
so
off.
often.
Shut your mouth and take your shirt off. Okay. So anyways, Pat decided not to wear the merch. Brosners, you're better than Pat. Be better than Pat.
Be better.
Grab a shirt. Support us. Support the show. We'll keep doing it. In-person ones, I mean, we're going to try next
We're
week.
saying for the 1 year anniversary, we're going to try for next week, all in the same room.
Next week.
The video might be
First
utter
one.
trash, but the audio is going to be great.
We're going to have fun. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah. And vote on the Battle Royale that I won and your favorite ice cream, which I also won. Good night, everybody.
Good night.